Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise and give you the strategic knowledge you really need. And today, wow, we are staring down what you really have to call the AI urgency crisis. This isn't just, here's a new tool. It feels like a fundamental rewrite. Leadership, strategy, even your career longevity. It's all on the table.
It really is. And it's the speed of this shift that makes it so critical for you listening right now.
Let me hit you with a couple of numbers here. Get this. In 2023, about 55% of companies globally said they used AI somewhere in their business. Okay, by 2024, that jumped to 78%.
78%. That's huge.
It's massive. So AI isn't some optional add-on anymore. It's like it's the immediate must-have capability, strategic planning, daily decisions, everything.
And you see it reflected right in the job market, don't you? It's almost scary. We saw this term AI fluency just vault. I think it went from like the 21st most wanted skill for new business hires straight up to 4th place, basically overnight. Exactly. So if you're aiming for management, maybe you're in grad school now, or maybe you've been in the game a while, you have to be fluent in AI. Or, frankly, you risk becoming, well, strategically irrelevant.
Which is why we're doing this deep dive today. Our mission here is to translate this huge AI imperative, all of it, the ethics, the strategy, how to actually get an advantage into knowledge you can actually use.
Yeah, we're going to unpack what AI fluency really means for a leader. And hint, it's definitely not about learning to code. We'll look at generative AI, how you can make it like a productivity machine for yourself. And crucially, the governance side, how do you manage the risks? Because they are significant reputational, financial. We'll also touch on how specific grad programs like the MS in Information Systems are stepping up to build these exact skills.
Okay, before we really jump in, just a quick thing. If you like what you're hearing, please hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And definitely subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive. Also, we're curious. Are you actually using tools like ChatGPT, things like that in your work already? Let us know down in the comments. All right, let's get into this core idea then. AI fluency. I think for a lot of people, when they hear that, their mind immediately goes to, the super technical roles.
Yeah.
Data scientists, engineers.
Yeah.
People coding neural networks.
Yeah, that's the common picture, isn't it? And it's a costly one, that misconception.
Yeah.
AI fluency for leaders. It's really a strategic capability. It's about understanding what these systems of predictive models, large language models, all of them, what they can do. And just as importantly, what they can't do. It's about putting AI in the context of your specific business, your environment, and using that understanding to actually create value. So yeah, we're definitely not talking about writing Python scripts here. We're talking about managing systems. Systems that learn, that reason, that adapt.
So the leader's role is more about systems thinking. And being a kind of translator.
Exactly. That translator role is absolutely crucial. Think about it. There's often this huge gap, right, between what the tech teams can build with AI and what the business actually needs strategically.
Right. I've seen that happen.
Yeah, we all have. Remember all those big IT projects in the 90s, the 2000s? Lots of them failed. Not because the tech was bad, necessarily, but because the business leaders couldn't really connect the dots. They couldn't articulate how that tech solved a core business problem.
So without that translation skill from the leader, the AI initiatives could just flounder.
They often do. Technical teams end up solving the wrong problem, maybe brilliantly. Or the business side has totally unrealistic expectations. It leads to these expensive, unfortunately common failures with AI rollouts. The real competence for a leader now is asking the right questions, the high leverage questions. How does this AI change our workflow, our customer interaction, our whole decision process?
That completely reframes the job of a leader, doesn't it? If you're not building the tool, but you're managing its output, managing its integration, you need a different skill set. Our sources point to, I think, 6 key competencies, things that mix strategy with, like mental agility. Let's start with the foundation, humility and learning agility.
Yeah, this one sounds soft, maybe, but it's probably the most practical skill you need right now. Why? Because the tools are changing weekly, literally. You just can't approach AI thinking you know it all or that your old expertise is enough. You need that beginner's mind, truly. Humility is about accepting you have to unlearn old ways and relearn new ones fast. It means experimentation has to come first, before expertise. Leaders need that growth mindset. If you're not willing to look a bit clumsy trying something new, well, you're just going to get left behind. Simple as that.
Which must be tough for senior folks, right? People used to being the expert in the room. And that ties right into the next one, judgment. If the AI is doing all this complex stuff, what's left for the human manager?
The human is the manager of the AI. That's the role. Remember the fundamental difference. AI predicts. It doesn't think. It finds patterns in data, projects forward, but it has zero real-world context, zero ethical compass, none of that human judgment.
Okay.
So the core leadership task becomes knowing when to hand a task off to the AI, when to check its homework really closely because hallucinations and misinterpretations are real, and probably most important, when to confidently say, no, I'm overriding that recommendation.
Because the danger isn't the AI making bad decisions on its own.
Exactly. The real danger is a human leader, maybe under pressure, just accepting a flawed AI recommendation because it looks complex or authoritative. That's a failure of human judgment. Algorithmic abdication, they call it.
That implies you need some AI subject matter expertise, though. Again, not coding, but what kind of knowledge are we talking about?
You need to understand the limits of the tools you're using. Seriously. Like, what's a large language model, an LLM, actually good at? Generating text, summarizing, finding patterns in language. Great. What's it bad at? Holding on to information long-term, verifying facts without checking external sources, any kind of real ethical reasoning. It just mimics patterns.
So knowing those boundaries lets you assign tasks properly.
Precisely. You understand the difference between a prediction engine and actual human reasoning. You don't ask the AI to make a truly strategic decision or handle a delicate ethical issue because that's not what it's built for.
Okay, and this all seems to culminate in what our sources call firm-specific AI mastery, taking it beyond just generic understanding.
Yes, exactly. This is where it gets really powerful. Generic AI literacy is becoming table stakes. Firm-specific mastery means you can map AI's potential onto your company's unique stuff. Your workflows, your proprietary data, your specific clients, your competitive edge. You're asking, how does this tech change our operating model? Does this cool new AI tool actually reinforce what makes us different, or does it accidentally make us more like everyone else? It's applying those strategic filters to the tech possibilities.
These aren't skills you just pick up casually, though. It sounds like you need a really structured way to learn this,
Yeah.
which explains why we're seeing this explosion in specialized graduate programs, right?
Absolutely. That blend, the strategy, the tech understanding, the management skills, it's exactly why programs like the MS in Information Systems, MSIS, are becoming so vital, especially programs from respected AACSB accredited schools like the Dr. Sampak College of Business at Tarleton State University. They're deliberately shifting focus. It's not just about teaching how to build algorithms anymore. It's about application. How do you bridge tech and business? How do you use AI and data analytics strategically to solve real complex business problems?
Yeah, we've seen other big names, Wharton, Stanford, they're weaving LLMs into their core MBA stuff now. But it sounds like the MSIS is kind of purpose-built for this intersection. It's designed from the ground up to create that AI fluent manager, not just the tech whiz.
That's a good way to put it. It's about building that bridge competence directly.
Okay, so we've talked mindset and strategy. Let's get practical. Let's talk about the tools everyone seems to be using, or at least talking about right now. Generative AI. Things like ChatGPT, Gemini, these aren't just toys. They're acting like on-demand co-pilots for knowledge work. And the productivity gains seem, well, huge.
Oh, they are. The numbers are pretty compelling. Some studies suggest Gen AI could boost employee productivity by up to 40% in certain knowledge-based roles.
40%.
Yeah. And it makes sense when you think about it. Gen AI is really good at automating the grunt work, right? Drafting that first email, summarizing a long document, generating some basic code. It frees up the human to focus on the higher value stuff, the judgment calls, the strategy, the complex problem solving.
Let's dig into some specific examples for leaders. I mean, just dealing with information overload. The executive summary capability feels like a game changer. Imagine feeding it a dense 50-page technical report, or maybe transcripts from weeks of project meetings, or even a competitor's entire annual report, and just asking it, boil this down, give me the 3 key takeaways, or draft a concise executive memo.
That alone saves hours of reading time. But it's more than just summarizing, isn't it? It's incredibly useful for decision support. A leader can ask the AI to analyze complex what-if scenarios like, okay, if our main supplier in Asia shuts down for 2 weeks, what's the ripple effect on our European and North American markets?
Right.
Or ask it to do a quick SWOT analysis on a potential initiative, maybe using your own internal data. The AI can often surface blind spots, things the human team might have missed because of biases or just not having enough time.
And then there's the creative side, creative ideation. Marketing teams seem way ahead on this.
They really are. Something like over 45% of marketing teams are already using Gen AI for brainstorming. Campaign ideas, product names, blog post outlines. It just demolishes that blank page problem, gives you a starting point instantly.
We're seeing it in specific industries too, like sales productivity.
Absolutely. Look at tools integrated into CRMs like Salesforce Einstein or Gong Engage. They're using AI to analyze customer calls, automatically update sales records, summarize key points, even suggest personalized follow-up emails. Think about how much admin work that cuts out. And buyers expect personalization. Now, I think the number's like 71% expect companies to understand their unique needs. AI helps deliver that personalization at scale. Some AI agents are even automating chunks of the deal workflow, which just speeds everything up.
Okay, so the potential is clearly massive. But using these tools effectively, that brings us to this crucial new skill, prompt engineering. If GenAI is the co-pilot, then the prompt is the flight plan you give it, right?
Exactly. That's a great analogy. Prompt engineering. It's basically the new digital literacy, especially for people who aren't coders. It's the skill of crafting your input, your question, the context you provide, the instructions you give to get back something useful, consistent, and high quality. If you just ask a vague question, you get vague, often useless output, like asking a magic 8-ball, but a well-structured prompt. That turns the AI from a random generator into a pretty reliable thought partner. The difference in the quality, the efficiency, even the safety of the output is just night and day.
Can you give us an example? Like, how does a structured prompt look different from just firing off a quick question?
Sure, let's take a common business need. There are frameworks people use now, like Rise or Care. They provide structure.
Okay, let's break down RISE. What does that involve?
Okay, so RISE forces you to be specific. R is for role. You tell the AI who it should be. Act as a senior B2B marketing strategist specializing in SaaS. I is for input context. You give it the necessary background. Here's our target audience profile. Here's data on our top 3 competitors. Here's our current product positioning. S is for steps reasoning. You outline the process you want it to follow. First, analyze the messaging on the competitor websites. Second, identify 3 unique value propositions for our product based on this analysis. Third, generate 3 distinct campaign concepts targeting CIOs based on those value props. And E is for expectation format. You tell it how you want the output. Present your response as a markdown table. Columns should be value proposition, target channel, key message hook, and estimated budget tier, low, mid, high.
Wow, okay, that's way different than just asking, give me some marketing ideas.
Totally different. The vague question gets you generic fluff. The RISE prompt forces the AI to follow a logical, strategic process and deliver something structured and actionable.
And that structure, the precision, that leads directly to being able to measure the prompt ROI, the return on investment.
Exactly. This is where organizations start moving from just playing around with AI to using it systematically, efficiently.
How do you actually measure the ROI of a prompt, though? That sounds tricky.
Well, you look at the value versus the cost. Every prompt has costs, right? There's the time it takes you to design it, test it, refine it. And if you're using paid models, there's the cost of the tokens, the computational units.
Okay, so time and tokens are the cost. What are the benefits you track?
Several things. First, direct cost savings. If you optimize your prompts, make them more concise, less conversational, you can often cut token usage significantly in automated tasks, maybe 30%, even 50% savings in big batch operations. That's real money. Second, efficiency gains. Let's say a well-crafted prompt cuts the time needed to generate a complex analysis report from, say, 8 minutes down to 3. Multiply that 5-minute saving by hundreds or thousands of reports. That time saving translates directly into cost savings or allows your team to do more valuable work.
And I guess the biggest one would be quality, right? Avoiding having to redo the AI's work.
Absolutely critical. Reduced rework. If using a structured, framework-based prompt improves the first-pass approval rate for something like a proposal draft or a report summary from maybe 60% up to over 90%, think about the human time and effort saved. Less editing, fewer correction loops, faster delivery. So yeah, prompt ROI starts to become a kind of proxy measurement for your process maturity with AI.
Are your teams just winging it every time, or are they using repeatable, efficient, well-designed logic?
This level of detail, understanding the frameworks, the ROI, it really highlights why specialized programs are popping up. It sounds like the MSIS program at Tarleton State University through the Dr. Sam Pack College of Business isn't just saying Gen AI is important. They're actually teaching the practical skills, the prompt engineering techniques, how to use the tools effectively so graduates can walk in on day one and actually use Gen AI to make themselves and their teams more productive.
That's exactly the goal, to build that immediate, applicable capability. Okay, so we've covered the immediate productivity boost from Gen AI. Let's zoom out again, back to the bigger strategic picture. Let's talk about how AI is fundamentally changing business intelligence, or BI. It feels like
Okay.
we're moving way beyond just historical reports.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge shift. BI has been evolving for decades, right? We started with those massive clunky data warehouses back in the 90s where data was locked away. Then OLIP cubes in the 2000s made slicing and dicing easier, but still for specialists. The 2010s brought self-service BI, which was a big step. Managers could finally pull some basic reports themselves using tools like Tableau or Power BI. But the 2020s, this decade, is about the leap to AI-powered adaptive intelligence.
Adaptive intelligence. What does that adaptive part actually mean in practice? What value does it deliver?
It delivers foresight. It's moving from looking in the rearview mirror to looking ahead through the windshield. Companies that are really implementing these fully adaptive BI systems that bake in predictive modeling, prescriptive recommendations, they're reporting pretty dramatic results. Things like a 41% jump in how much people actually use the analytics tools,
Wow.
and maybe a 36% improvement in how quickly they can make good data-driven decisions.
Okay, that's significant. What's the core technology enabling that shift?
A huge part of it is the democratization of data through natural language.
Right. That feels key. Because historically, if you were a manager and needed a specific, maybe slightly unusual report, what did you have to do?
You had to put in a ticket, right, to the BI team or IT, explain what you wanted, wait days, maybe weeks for a specialist to write some complex SQL query to pull the data. It was slow, cumbersome.
Yeah, a total bottleneck.
Exactly. AI-powered BI systems are smashing that bottleneck. They fundamentally change the manager's relationship with the data. Now, a manager, someone who doesn't know SQL from C++, can literally just ask a question in plain English. Hey, what were our top 3 selling products in the Midwest region last month? How did that compare to our Q3 forecast? And what marketing campaign seemed to drive the most sales for product A? And the system doesn't just spit back raw numbers. It gives you the answer, often with charts, maybe a short narrative summary explaining the trends, even highlighting potential reasons why. It makes data access incredibly fast and intuitive.
That democratization is powerful, but you mentioned foresight. The real strategic edge seems to come when the AI starts finding things you weren't even looking for, the unknown unknowns.
Precisely. That's the difference between descriptive analytics, what happened, predictive analytics, what will likely happen, and prescriptive analytics, what should we do about it. Traditional BI was mostly descriptive. AI pushes us firmly into predictive and prescriptive. An adaptive BI system isn't just waiting for you to ask a question. It's constantly monitoring huge amounts of data streams in the background. It's looking for anomalies, for emerging patterns that a human might miss. It might flag an unexpected bottleneck forming in your supply chain before it causes a major disruption. Or it might detect subtle shifts in customer preferences that signal a new market opportunity.
Or it's proactive.
Totally proactive. And the prescriptive part takes it one step further. For example, the AI might predict an inventory shortfall for a key component several weeks out. Okay, that's useful. But the prescriptive layer doesn't just give you the warning. It might also advise on the best course of action. Like, based on current shipping costs, lead times, and predicted demand changes, the optimal strategy is to place a specific size order with supplier B within the next 48 hours.
Wow, that's moving from just reporting to actual strategic guidance. But for a manager to actually trust those kinds of complex forward-looking recommendations, they must need some understanding of what's under the hood, right? They can't just blindly follow the AI.
Oh, absolutely not. Blind trust is dangerous. The manager still needs to be able to sanity check the output, ask critical questions, understand the basis for the recommendation. And that relies on having a solid foundation. You need to understand basic data concepts, how data is structured, what analytical models are being used, the limitations of the data. That's why the curriculum in a good MS in Information Systems program is so important here. Tarleton's MSIS, for instance, makes your students cover those core topics: business intelligence systems design, data management principles, data warehousing concepts, analytical modeling techniques, familiarity with BI software. You need that foundation to truly appreciate what AI can do with data, but also, critically, to know when to be skeptical, when to dig deeper, when the AI's prediction seems off based on your own business intuition. Without that grounding, the AI's advice just becomes a black box. And relying on a black box for major decisions, that's just gambling.
Right. You need to be an informed consumer of the AI's output, not just a passive recipient.
Exactly. Informed, critical, and ultimately still in charge.
Okay, so we've got these incredibly powerful AI tools integrating deeper and deeper into how businesses run, which inevitably brings us to the really critical part. The ethics, the governance, the oversight, this isn't just a side issue anymore, is it? It feels like core risk management.
It absolutely is core risk management. The stakes here are incredibly high. And the message for leaders needs to be crystal clear. You cannot hide behind the excuse the algorithm did it. It just won't fly. If an AI system used in hiring shows bias or denies someone a loan unfairly based on protected characteristics or makes a drastically wrong risk assessment, the organization and its human leaders will be held accountable. We're talking serious financial penalties, lawsuits, and potentially catastrophic damage to your brand's reputation. Understanding AI ethics isn't optional, it's fundamental liability reduction.
Our sources often point to a set of core principles, maybe drawing from frameworks like the one from Harvard's DCE, usually around 5 key areas. Let's start with fairness.
Fairness is paramount, especially because AI systems learn from historical data, and historical data often contains societal biases. So, fairness demands rigorous, ongoing testing to make sure your AI systems aren't systematically discriminating against certain groups. The problem is widespread. One big study looked at algorithms in finance and healthcare, two really high-stakes areas, and found significant bias patterns in something like over 80% of them. 80%.
Wow. So how do you fight that?
Leaders need to insist on specific interventions during development and testing. Things like counterfactual fairness evaluations. Basically, you test the system by asking, okay, if we change only the protected attribute like gender, race, age, while keeping everything else the same, does the AI's recommendation or decision change? If it does, you've got a bias problem. And implementing these kinds of checks alongside techniques to mitigate the bias in the data or model has been shown to significantly reduce those disparities, sometimes by over 60%. It has to be proactive.
Okay, next principle. Transparency. People need to understand how these things work, often called explainability.
Yes, and transparency is the absolute bedrock of trust. But there's a huge gap here. The survey shows something like 87% of business users say transparency in AI is very important to them, yet maybe only 9% or 10% feel they actually understand how AI personalization or decision systems are affecting the information or outcomes they get.
That's a massive trust deficit.
It is. Transparency means providing real clarity. What data went in? What was the basic logic the model followed? Why did it reach this specific conclusion? And it needs to be explained in a way that a non-technical person can actually grasp. Often, the best approach is layered explanations. A simple, top-level reason, but with options to click deeper for more technical detail if needed. You have to meet users where they are.
All right, then there's accountability. If things go wrong, who's ultimately responsible?
Accountability is about establishing clear lines of human responsibility and having robust oversight processes. This is so important because of that risk we mentioned earlier, algorithmic abdication. That's where managers just kind of throw up their hands and defer to the AI, either because they assume it's smarter or because it's too complex to challenge. Studies show that organizations with really well-defined accountability structures where specific humans are designated as responsible for overseeing AI outputs in specific areas experience far fewer instances of this abdication, maybe up to 65% fewer cases. The leader has to be empowered and expected to be that human checkpoint, that final reviewer.
Makes sense. And the last two principles are often linked. Privacy and security.
Yeah, crucial operational pieces. For privacy, leaders need to be really watchful about data hunger. AI models, especially for personalization, tend to want more data, always more. We see systems collecting, nearly 4 times more user attributes than are strictly necessary for their core function. That creates huge privacy risks and makes complying with regulations like GDPR or CCPA much harder. Leaders have to champion and enforce data minimization, collect only what you truly need for the stated purpose. And for security, AI introduces new vulnerabilities. We need to protect these systems from threats like adversarial attacks, where someone subtly manipulates the input data to trick the AI into making a bad decision, or data poisoning, where the training data itself is corrupted. These require specialized security thinking beyond just standard IT defenses.
Okay, so knowing these principles is one thing, but actually putting them into practice requires translating them into ongoing governance and audit frameworks, doesn't it? This is where the rubber meets the road.
Exactly right. This is the operational side of responsible AI, and it usually starts with building a cross-functional audit team. This can't just live within IT or the data science group. It has to include people who understand the algorithms, yes, but also legal and compliance folks who know the specific regulations, FTC rules, EEOC guidelines, state laws. You need business stakeholders who understand the real-world impact. And you need risk management specialists. It has to be holistic.
And given How many different AI tools companies use now? Some build in-house, some from vendors. How do you even keep track?
That's a huge challenge. You absolutely need a process for mapping AI systems and data flows. Every single AI tool your organization touches, whether it's a custom model or a feature inside Salesforce, Einstein, or Microsoft Copilot, needs to be cataloged. You have to track. Where does the data come from? How is it transformed? Where does the output go? What decisions does it influence? Where are the potential points where bias could creep in or where compliance failures might occur? Managing those third-party black box systems is often the trickiest part. You need strong vendor governance, and it can't be a one-time audit. You need continuous monitoring. Frameworks that regularly check the AI's performance, not just for accuracy, but specifically for outcome equity across different demographic groups. Is the system performing fairly for everyone? Because data drifts, models degrade, and bias can emerge over time if you're not watching closely.
Wow, the complexity here is just significant. It really underscores why that foundational education in technology management, ethics, and governance, like you'd get in an MSIS, seems less like a nice to have and more like a prerequisite for anyone aspiring to lead in this environment.
I think it is becoming a prerequisite. Programs like the one at the Dr. Sam Pack College of Business deliberately incorporate this complexity. They offer required courses or specific electives on AI governance, responsible AI, human AI interaction. The goal is to equip graduates not just to use the powerful tools, but to be the organization's conscience, its guide, to help navigate that difficult path of balancing innovation with safety, ethics, and long-term trust.
Okay, let's tie all this together now and bring it back to the individual listener. We've talked strategy, tools, ethics. What does actually mastering this comprehensive AI fluency mean for someone's career, for their professional path?
It means a significant competitive edge. It translates directly into higher market value and a faster track to leadership. We're seeing a very real AI skills premium emerge. The data is pretty clear on this. For example, MBA graduates who can clearly demonstrate strong skills in applying AI strategically, not just knowing about it, are seeing starting salaries that are maybe 20% to 30% higher than their peers who lack those capabilities.
20 to 30% higher just starting out.
Yep. And for more specialized roles, those translator positions we talked about, blending deep domain expertise with AI savvy, that compensation bump can be even higher, maybe 25% to 40%.
And the pressure from employers is only increasing, isn't it? It's not just the tech companies anymore.
Not at all. Look at major consulting firms like McKinsey or BCG. They now essentially require all their new consultants, regardless of their industry focus, to have a certain level of AI literacy. Why? Because almost every client project they undertake now involves advising on AI strategy, implementation, or risk management. Companies across the board are prioritizing hiring strategists, managers, leaders who understand AI's implications, not just the pure technical experts.
And the future outlook seems even more intense.
Yeah, there's a widely cited prediction floating around. Every major business decision will involve AI within 5 years. Now, maybe that's a slight exaggeration, but the direction is undeniable. What it means is that AI fluency is rapidly shifting from a specialized skill to a core competency for leadership across all functions: finance, marketing, operations, HR, you name it. Graduates who enter the workforce now with this fluency already built in, they're often bypassing some traditional early career steps and moving into positions with more strategic responsibility much faster.
So imagine you're a young professional, maybe thinking about grad school. You're weighing your options.
Yeah.
A traditional MBA, maybe a specialized master's in finance, or something like an MIS. How does a program like the MS in Information Systems at Tarleton State University specifically position itself to deliver that critical AI edge compared to other pathways?
That's a great question. The differentiator for a strong MSIS program, especially one like Tarleton's, offered fully online through their AACSB-accredited Dr. Sam Pack College of Business, lies in its explicit focus on that crucial intersection. Think about it. A traditional MBA might offer a couple of AI electives, but AI isn't necessarily woven into the core DNA of the program. A pure computer science degree will give you deep technical skills, but maybe not the strategic business context or the management focus. The MSIS, particularly a modern, forward-looking one, is designed specifically for that sweet spot. It integrates the necessary emerging tech skills, practical AI application, prompt engineering, advanced data analytics, alongside the critical components of ethical frameworks, governance, technology management, and strategic business alignment.
So it's purpose-built to produce that strategic manager, the leader who gets the technology but also understands the business implications and manages the risks effectively.
Exactly. It's aiming to create that translator profile scale we discussed, the leader who can confidently bridge the gap between technical potential and real-world business value while ensuring it's done responsibly and ethically. That holistic perspective, designed to meet precisely where the market demand is heading, is what makes it such a compelling and, I think, highly competitive choice for aspiring leaders right now. Hashtag tag 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 outro and edo.
All right, let's quickly recap the core message from our deep dive today. The bottom line is, AI fluency isn't just coming, it's here. It's non-negotiable for professional relevance moving forward. And it's this specific blend, isn't it? Critical technical insight, knowing what the tools can and can't do, sharp business acumen, applying it strategically, and that absolutely essential ethical grounding. The leader's job now is really about managing the AI effectively, thoughtfully, not just using it as a magic button.
Well said. And building that strategic competence, that responsible approach, it really starts with dedicated, structured learning that prioritizes real-world application and ethical oversight from the beginning.
We definitely want to keep this conversation going with you. So tell us, what's one way you're using AI in your current role, or maybe wish you could be using it? Drop a comment below and let us know. And of course, if you found this deep dive valuable, if it gave you some insights, please do us a favor, hit the like button, share it with a colleague or friend who might benefit, and subscribe so you catch our next episode.
And maybe just one final thought to leave you with, something to mull over. We talked a lot today about the incredible power of AI, especially its predictive capabilities. But I truly believe the future belongs not just to the leaders who can ask the AI the right questions to unlock that power, but perhaps even more so to the leaders who possess the training, the deep understanding, the ethical integrity, and ultimately the confidence to know when it's strategically necessary to override the AI's recommendation, to consciously choose human judgment, to prioritize core ethical values or long-term brand trust, even when the algorithm points in a different, maybe more efficient-seeming direction. That capacity for critical oversight is the essence of true AI-fluent leadership for the future.
A powerful thought to end on. That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.